Oh, welcome everybody. So sorry. I am 11 minutes late. My computer crashed right at 1 o'clock. I was just getting ready to start everything. So I just got everything up and going. I want to welcome everybody. And so that everybody knows this is being recorded. It is live on Facebook. It will be uploaded to YouTube later in the week. I still didn't get last week's up yet. So I have a lot of work to do for this group. And yes, techno stuff has just been wonky, and we're doing the best we can. I want to welcome everyone. I haven't even looked on Facebook yet, so I'll do that as soon as I do the introductions here. But we have a new person that joined us, Kyle Pierce. Welcome to our happy little
hello. Hey. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, because I just put a new mic. Okay, good. Can you hear me well?
Very clear.
Perfect. Loud and clear.
Okay, well, I got a new microphone, so that's good.
Yeah, we can hear your rich baritone.
All right.
Yeah. So welcome. So Kyle is new. He just found us on Facebook and familiar with the Seth House website as well. One of the newest donors. Thank you so much. Everybody on here has been a donor so far. So we are so blessed to have you all in our lives and supporting the Seth House project. And it's something that's very dear to my heart, obviously. Yeah. Yes. Now, Kyle, you put a very nice post out thanking us for welcoming you, and really we should be thanking you for joining us. But if you could just, tell your story. It's a nice little story, and you're going to find that you and Mickey have a lot in common.
Somehow, it didn't occur to me. Hi, Martin.
Hi.
Go ahead.
Somehow it didn't occur to me that there would be, astrologers into Seth. Why would that be weird? Why would that not occur to me? So.
I don't know, because I'm an astrologer.
You certainly are.
And I'm devoted to Seth.
And, but, I've had a complicated life like everybody. And, but so you want to hear that story again?
Yeah.
I heard it.
Of course.
Well, anyway, I had I called up Jane Roberts. I worked up the nerve in 1975, I think. I gave her a call, and I was just getting into astrology at the time, and I wanted to get her birth data, and she was very gracious to give me that, and we talked about, what does Seth say about astrology? And I mean, at that point, I didn't realize, but it was somewhere around that time that there actually were some sessions where the subject of astrology came up. And obviously there were other people who were doing charts. And so I always remember, that one conversation I had with her. It didn't last very long, but it was, she was very gracious. And and it stuck with me.
It's absolutely fabulous that happened for you, that you made that call, because when I read her books and she talks about it, that back in the day, getting calls personally from people, taking them. And I just think, where was I? Why didn't I call Jane? But I was a good 7 years before I encountered her work. But, and by then it was too late, but she was very ill. But I know that it sounded absolutely fabulous in the books to read about Jane talking about, well, I spoke to this person who called me to ask about this. Maybe she's even recorded this astrologer who called her. Maybe she's got you in there somewhere,
That's
I think
possible.
It's very powerful that you got to speak to Jane. So what do they say? We're 3 people away from knowing everybody. So now through you, we know Jane in another way.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And I'm not sure when they left Water Street to go to the Hill House, but I think 75, they still were at Water Street. So they were probably in apartment 4 and 5 as well.
Mhm.
So right now we do have both of those apartments. So we are so happy we have those two, and we have
And
2
I was-
others as well, but those are the important ones.
Yeah, I was very impressed to see the photos of
Oh,
the restorations and the
yeah.
painting and all the, yeah.
Well, you'll
Yeah.
have to go back a couple of weeks and look at, it's probably 4 weeks ago now, when we introduced apartment 4. And we did do a quick walk through apartment 5 as well. So they are on the website. You can see different ones.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
very exciting. Now, Mickey met Jane the same way, a phone call.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, you
Yeah.
did, Mickey? I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's the
When?
So
I
go
was
ahead, Mickey,
reading-
you tell yours.
When I was reading your testimony and your story, Kyle, I sat there with my mouth open because I thought I had written it. It was so exactly, word for word, exactly what I had experienced. That I just sat there. I just called up. First of all, I was just as surprised as you. Then I just picked up the telephone book and there she was.
Well, now you
Couldn't
spoke
believe
to Rob first, right?
I spoke to Rob first and then her.
Yeah.
And then I spoke to her 2 or 3 times over a couple of years because by then I had started working with Rick Stack, who was, one of the New York boys, quote unquote. And the last time I called, Rob told me that she was very, very sick and she was in the hospital. And so I was feeling all bad about that and, and worried. And then the next time I heard from them was that she had passed. So I went into a couple of years of real depression about it. I thought, oh no, Seth is gone. I was being a child. I felt abandoned, psychically abandoned. But, after I just continued to study. And there were periods when, you're more intense with it and periods when you step back and you're processing. So it's had a long running story in my life, just like yours, Kyle, I think.
What did she tell you or speak about in your conversations
Well,
with her?
some of it was confidential, quite a bit of it, but mainly the main thrust of it was to tell me to relax and just let it happen because I was doing direct voice too. And so I was quite frightened because I was only 23 or something, 24. And so I was like, what's happening to me? What is this? It had started in Cuba. So when I got back to the States, the first thing I wanted to do was reach her, and contact and say, hey, you're doing this same thing. What do you think? What is happening? What do I look out for? And all that kind of stuff. But she was very, very down to earth, upbeat, just relax. It's okay.
She comes across like when you read The God of Jane or Psychic Manifesto, Psychic Politics. She comes across that way all the time. And
Yes.
It's marvelous straightforwardness. And I
She
give
was
my eye
so-
teeth to speak with her personally.
So emotionally approachable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
blew my mind. I mean, she was just so right out there. Hi, this is me. This is what I'm doing. It's like telling somebody you were going bowling. And
I hear these stories all the time. There was a gentleman that just contacted me and he said he really wanted to see her house. And this was when they lived at the Hill House. And he said, I just drove by it and the garage door was open and she was sitting there writing and he just walked up to her and he told her how much he loved her books. And she's like, yeah, I don't want to talk about that. And she just wanted a small talk. And she didn't want to be thought of as fancy or important or anything. And she just was the most down-to-earth girl. Now I didn't even find the Seth material until about 5 years ago, 4.5 years ago. So I I'm always the newbie on this whole group.
I didn't know that about you, Mickey, and I'm thrilled to know it. I'm probably going to send you some messages asking questions that you've personally met her. I mean, that you feel able to answer, because I think that direct contact, I didn't have any contact with her. I had contact with Rob, because by the time I reached them, she was ill. So he would answer in letters and postcards,
Yes.
which was just beautiful. But it was just 2 years later that she passed. So I never got to meet her. And I've often thought, I was living in Massachusetts, why didn't I take a car ride out there? It never, ever occurred to me to do that.
Really?
And I could have.
Well, I was right in New York. So I'm kicking myself the same way, saying, why didn't I get someone to drive me just outside the city to where she was, you know?
I
But
think I probably thought you couldn't do that, you know, and of course, the fact that she is so approachable refutes that
no, but then
hesitation.
I knew people who were going, you know, I still
Yeah.
knew people who were part of it and going, and it just wasn't part of what I was supposed to be doing. I did what I thought at the time, and you know, hey, we all have our own particular contract. So
Yeah.
it's a clause opportunity that I didn't take advantage of.
Well, I've thought of that sometimes. They say you're not supposed to ask the question why when you're dealing
Right.
with spiritual things. I want to know why you're not supposed to ask the question why. That's the first comment all the time. And in addition, the feeling
That's
is
so
that,
Regina.
what?
That's so Regina. You're not supposed to ask why, so I would ask why you're not supposed to.
I want some answers here. But I think meeting Jane would certainly have been on my retro list. Were we able to have a retro list?
Have you read? You've read the William James book?
No.
Yeah,
No,
that's
I
an
haven't.
incredible book.
I have not read that, but
I
I've
haven't
read.
either.
I mean, I have otherwise been. I mean, I've read William James stuff. You know, his writing. I think he's amazing.
One of the I started reading her books in '82. I moved to California in '88, and in 1990, I was in Southern California working at an hour away from the South Coast in Irving, I think it was. Anyway, in the Pepsi Cola building, I was a receptionist of all things. So I couldn't find jobs anywhere. And my son was with me. So I was on the top floor of this. It felt like 70 stories high. It wasn't that high. And we had an earthquake. And when the earthquake happened, well, there were quite a few over there, but I was reading on my break William James' book. And I just kept reading it through the earthquake. The building had been built to sway back and forth, like a lot of them out there are. So I just swayed back and forth. I heard some things falling around me. I just kept reading William James. It seemed very peaceful.
Wow.
Wow. So you got a special bond with William James now.
That book. Yeah. But I recommend it highly. It's very powerful, very powerful. Well, they all are.
It's one of the few that I wasn't able to read. I did try, and I found that it wasn't for me to read right then. And the same thing happened with the nature of mass events, you know, evolution and mass events.
You might find the mass events book extremely interesting now.
Now, exactly.
So when we started this, I started that book and I couldn't finish it. However, our meditation is from that book today. It is so powerful.
Here we go.
Sensing your greater being. So it is powerful. Now, and I want to make sure, because we got a late start and here it is, it's already almost a half an hour in. Regina, how are you time-wise? I want to make sure this gets in before you have to leave.
Well, that's very nice of you. I don't interfere with the schedule you all have, but I have to leave because another one starts generally by 2:30 is the turning point for me. So, but I don't want to keep interrupting the narrative
No, no,
going
no,
on.
no,
So
no,
I'll
not at
just
all.
fade away, you know.
No,
I
not
got
at
it.
all.
I got a
Maybe
message.
We'll shoot for 2:00.
Okay.
We'll shoot for
Beautiful.
2:00 to do the meditation. Kyle, how are you as far as time goes? Staying the full 2 hours?
Well, yeah, I think I
Okay.
could do that.
Okay, all right. And you know, I tell people that's fine. Hop on, hop off, whatever you need to do. The only thing is during the meditation, I don't allow anyone in
Mhm.
until we're done, you know.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Well,
I try
just-
not to interrupt it.
Just as I was signing in, I got a notification on Facebook that my daughter was starting a live video. So I thought, oh no, we're now at the exact same time. So that was
Oh,
funny. I
oh,
sent her a messenger thing saying, your live video is at the exact same time as my live video. I will catch you in a bit.
What was she doing, if I can ask?
She's doing a narration and DJing and talking psychology and stuff.
oh, nice.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah. So I think this is her first official one.
And you're
And,
here with us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That says a lot.
I am drowned in guilt.
Oh my
I was gonna
goodness.
say, well, maybe she'll say something later to make you feel more guilty, and you'll feel less guilty because she said it.
Yeah, exactly. But I
Wow.
told her I would look at it later after, because like we do, she puts it up, afterwards and all that. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah.
But she's
I-
getting into media because that's what she went to school for. That's what she went to high school for.
Public speaking
For TV and video and film.
oh, beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
I worked on, I watched a video about how to get rid of glare in your glasses.
Oh, yeah.
I just can't do it. I tried. I got it down a lot, but it's still there.
Well, that's interesting. I
Yeah.
didn't know you could even do that.
Yeah, it's a matter of turning down the light where the glare is coming in. So my windows are here to my left.
Oh.
I can
And
see
so-
you in my glass.
Huh?
I see you in my left eye.
Yeah.
Well, because
Oh,
your
yeah,
screen
yeah,
is
I see that
probably, if
too.
you turn down your screen a little bit, I bet that'll go right away. Like if you turn down the brightness.
Like that?
No, the
Just
bright,
kidding,
No.
just
No.
kidding.
silly girl. Yeah, that did work.
Yes, just having fun.
Now, Regina, you've got no glare in yours. You must have already figured out how to do it.
There's something on these which I did not ask for. There's some kind of coating.
Anti-glare.
I guess it must have been. I didn't ask for it. These cost more than I expected when I got them, so that may be what they did. Just poke something else into the. I knew I didn't want those kind of glasses that go dark outside. I didn't want that or anything.
That's what these do.
So I don't know. It must have been some anti-glare stuff.
Yeah, yours work real well. I like that. But all my light is to my left and then in front of me, and then I have dark behind me. It should be white behind me.
Yeah.
And then dark above the computer screen in front of me. And then it can be coming light from the top, which would be above the glare spot.
Yeah.
You
But
could make yourself a little tent.
that's what I need, a tent.
Yeah.
Well, I put
Great
mine on, but
cloth too.
I can't see out of mine when I'm looking at the
Or
screen.
I could just take the bloody things off until I have to read
Exactly.
the meditation. But then
Well,
I
I
can't read the
can't see.
Facebook comments either.
Well, I keep mine off for each day, each time we're on,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't wear mine usually. Yeah.
There's a few things I have to read while I'm doing this, and I just cannot read without them. So
Yeah.
I
I
just,
can't see
you know.
without mine.
but it's true. It's important to, see people's eyes. And
Yes, it
Kyle,
is.
you have no glare on yours either. You have a big halo around you, but you have no glare on your glasses.
I see the
Yeah,
halo.
this-
Mickey? Oh.
No,
Kyle.
before Zoom, we didn't have to worry about this too much.
No,
Yeah.
no, we were in person.
We were fine.
Yeah, but I love this because before Zoom, And really, I think this is the week I had to close my business because we went into lockdown. So it's like Wednesday coming up is my 1-year anniversary of being closed. And it has opened up. I didn't know any of you people before that. And now I feel like, you guys are in my heart, you're my buds, and I love spending Sunday afternoon with you guys.
Ditto.
So I think it's wonderful. I don't have any complaints at all.
This is, I don't know, it's just coalesced into something that's a lot bigger than the sum of its parts.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I also think it will certainly, we're told all the time that everything is an energy field,
Yes.
that there is no separation.
Yes.
And although this might be extrapolating too much on the theme, to my mind, when we're together like this, it's as if it's not the same, but in a way it is the same as if we're in the same room.
Absolutely.
Oh, definitely.
Yes.
It does not feel far away, nor does it feel artificial, nor does it feel contrived. It's as real as if.
Yeah, there's people I have tea with every Sunday.
Yeah. And one of the beautiful things about the Seth teachings and about everything being now and the time is not real, here we are, and it is 1 o'clock, 1:30 here. It's what, 4:30 for you, Mickey?
5:30.
5:30 for you. Kyle, it's gotta be what, 12:30?
Same for me, believe it or not.
Oh, you and me are in the same time zone?
I am even though I'm in West Michigan.
Oh, okay. All right.
I really should be on Central Time, but I'm not.
Okay. And Martin, you're on either Central or Mountain, right?
Central, yeah.
Okay.
So it's 12:30. Yeah.
Yeah. But and Audrey and Regina and I, we're 3 of us are in New York. So we're all in the
I
same
wish.
time zone. Oh, yeah. Northeast. I'm sorry. You wish you were in New York.
I do.
But, here we are. This proves the timelessness, right? And we're all speaking. We all hear each other at the same moment. And it works beautifully.
Yes.
I love
Just
it.
wait until Zoom goes holographic. I mean, that can happen very soon.
Ooh.
Is that in
holographic
I bet that's in some kind
It's
of
just exploding right
stage.
now.
I need
Is
to buy
it going to
Zoom
do-
stock.
You mean it's going to do that? Yeah, I thought you were joking.
I think it could, because the holographic technology is just exploding right now.
Well, I have
mean,
the Oculus, and I was
They're not just
wondering.
talking 3D, they're talking like 14D now, holographic technology. They've got holograms now, small, that you can actually hold in your hands, and you can feel the butterfly flapping its wings.
Wow.
I'm
Come
not
on.
kidding you. Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I have to research this.
Yeah.
I have the Oculus, and I was wondering, could I get you all on it?
I didn't know what that was. What's
don't
the
either.
Oculus?
It's like you
Is the
put these
glasses?
glasses on, and it's 3D. When you go down the roller coaster, you feel it.
Oh, it's virtual reality, VR.
Yeah.
Okay.
They've got
Oh.
it now to where you don't even need to wear glasses anymore.
Yeah,
You
the
can actually
glasses are
project it
annoying.
right into a room now. So,
Wow.
Oh no.
yeah,
Sort
that's
of
just
Matrix-like, is that what it is?
literally just within the last week or two. Yeah, it's just come
Wow.
out. It's just come out. So,
Okay.
I mean,
That
we'll
could be
see.
the next big thing. Who knows?
Yeah,
We see you popping in, we'll know.
yeah,
Got
That
it.
is
Right.
strange.
That
Yeah.
is cool. Very cool.
yeah.
Well, then
It
you would
is so
really have
strange.
us coming in and out, Kate. We would just be disappearing and appearing at random intervals.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
He's very
Absolutely.
Star Trekky.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, we're not
I
doing
love
that.
Stepping into the transporter.
That's right. That's right.
Love that. Yes. Yeah.
I know they're working on that.
They are. They are.
Yeah.
And I
coming.
read one of the books and it was so prevalent that Seth says, yep, Rupert and Joseph were watching Star Trek again.
Yeah,
saw
I
that.
love that. I love that. I love it.
Well, I've
Yeah.
also heard that Gene Roddenberry was one of her followers.
Oh, I didn't know that. How
Yeah.
interesting.
I have to go and see if I can find where I got it from.
Yeah,
It was
send the
someone with-
link.
Group. That would be great.
Yeah.
It was someone within the Seth community that was telling me, and
Oh,
yeah, because I'm so fascinated by all the different physicists who went to
Well-
visit and talk to Seth,
yes.
and how she
Mhm.
said a lot of new things came out after they talked to Seth.
Well, Roddenberry
Oh.
said,
Oh,
Understand some of the science behind what they were
Oh,
working
wow.
on, and so they
And
were running
certainly
their
Star Trek.
research past him
Yeah.
to see what he thought of what they were working on, and he tweaked, yeah, that's true, but don't forget this and this and this.
Oh.
So, but the thing was, although she talked about it and wrote about it, she never said who it was.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Right. Now we know Jim Henson was there. There
Yes.
are girls that live in town still that were at the class that he was at.
mhm.
And we know, well, there's a oh gosh, who is it? I can't think of the guy's name. Jonathan Livingston Seagull.
Steve.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
He was there.
Bach.
Richard
Bach.
Bach.
Richard Bach.
Richard
Yeah.
Bach.
Yeah.
Hello, baby.
So yeah, there's a few that we know about. And there's still many people that live in town that used to go to her classes or they were friends with her or whatever. But they are passing away now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So many of the people that knew both of them. So
That makes a lot of sense because I worked for Jim Henson for a little while.
oh
and-
my goodness.
Yeah,
wow.
and I can see
Were you some
every
kind of
bit-
Renaissance person there?
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
trying to be. We had a pact, me and my husband at that time. We had a pact that we would change industries every 3 to 5 years, and that's what we did.
Ooh.
We'd go in, start at the very bottom, and see how far we could go within the time span, and then we'd switch to a different industry. So I got
Very
a chance to
interesting life.
I got a
Very
chance to meet
adventurous.
some very unusual people who
In
wouldn't
the
have all
book.
known each other, but the only thing they had in common was us.
You
Mm.
should write a book.
Yeah, well, people say that, but I always answer, I have to wait for a lot of folks to die before I can write a truthful book.
Yeah.
Well, you write the book and you have it published
and wait,
upon the right time.
That's right.
Mhm.
After I'm gone, it could be published.
Yeah. Ah, oh, nice.
We'll do
But
that.
that was one of the best experiences I've ever had in my life, was that little bit of time I worked for him. It was
Interesting.
extraordinary. So
Oh, yeah.
I'm really tickled to hear that he was connected in some way to this, and even interested.
Yeah.
in
Well, the
Seth.
girls told us that the mirror that goes to the bathroom, he was sitting right on the floor in the
Wow.
center of that mirror, and each one of the girls were on either side of him.
Wow.
And Jane told them to just listen to the little voices, and that was the advice that she gave these girls. And I think they were like 10 and 11 at the time.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, but their mom and their grandma would come to the classes, and that's where we got that journal from, the original, or it's a mimeograph copy of the very first manuscript with sessions 1 through whatever 20 in it,
Oh.
where Seth where Seth first appeared from 63, I think it was.
Wow.
Yeah, so the girls gave us that. They found it in their grandma's bureau after she passed. And when they saw that we were having Jane's birthday party on the news that morning, they said that they had been dreaming of Jane and they didn't understand why. And Jane was very happy about things. And they're like, oh my God, they're coming home. And they actually furnished almost the whole apartment 1A. They donated furniture of the
Wow.
period of around the 60s, 70s.
Mhm.
And they gave us that manuscript. So, and they live right here in Elmira. Wonderful girls.
That's extraordinary.
It truly is.
I think it's extraordinary that I'm in a group of 6 people. There's a couple more might show up, but 2 of those people personally spoke to Jane.
Yeah.
That blows my mind.
Yeah.
What are the odds?
Well,
Because just of what Kate said, most of the people who were in touch with her and had contact with her, unless they were 10 or 11 at the time,
right.
are gone.
Yeah.
or leaving or in the process of leaving.
Mhm.
And so that it's
Mm.
just amazing.
And it's fortunate that she, she did hold classes for all age ranges. I mean, the one girl that came here is a little bit older than me, so she's probably around 65. She said that, you had people that were in their 80s and you had people that were in their teens. And, men, women, professional people, hippies, it didn't matter. Just everybody was drawn to Jane. She was just such a nice, likable woman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, Mickey, you took class from one of her students, Rick
Yeah.
Stack,
From
and
Rick
that's
Stack.
kind of how you got to know that Jane was there and approachable, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
I had actually contacted her before I started with her.
oh,
Mhm.
okay.
And I had a girlfriend, my best friend at the time was either a niece or a cousin of Tam Mossman.
Oh,
So I was hearing several things. I was reading the books and she was very anxious. She had heard about the classes that he was doing, that Rick was doing. So
mhm.
her idea was for the three of us, she and I and another good friend of ours, he's a playwright, and we all went to take these classes from Rick. So we were there for a couple of years.
Okay.
And it's just interesting how it's all playing out over and stretched over all these decades. Because I
Yeah.
really thought that my connection to the whole of the Seth phenomena was finished years and years and years ago. And then here we come, I'm on the other side of the world, and then I meet you.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it's all back in my life in so many different ways. It's mind blowing.
I love it.
Mhm.
And
It's
Kyle, you said the same thing. You got busy with life and now it's coming back again.
Absolutely. And it's I've been at some point, I'm doing astrological work that I never realized in all these years until very recently that there was a really significant um, piece of that. There was a significant motivation that came out of my study of the Seth materials.
Mhm.
And so I anyway, it's just fascinating. I mean, I think there is I feel like, gee, there's something going on here that I want to be a part of, that I hadn't really, I couldn't, somehow I could not find it. I couldn't connect with it before. So why now? I don't know. I think
know that
Exactly.
It's
coming
just
out
that
of the
we're
pandemic and also, happy equinox. The sun is now in Aries.
right.
Yes.
And so spring is in the air and new things are coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful. Thank
There's
you.
also been a long hiatus, almost 20 years, where a lot of the Seth action was with just a small group of people.
Right.
Prior to that, we had, excuse me, the international conferences. Those ended in 2000, actually officially closed in 1999. And that meant knowledge of Seth or the popularity dissipated to some degree, but I think there must be a reason for this resurgence. And I remember always thinking how extraordinary it was that Tam Mossman would agree to publish the books when he did, because they were in that period of time in the
Yes.
60s.
Yeah.
Who was doing that sort of thing? Nobody.
Mhm.
Not to mention they were filled with Rob's notes.
Mm-hmm.
It was a most unusual delivery system. And the whole subject matter was unusual for the time. So
Yeah.
Some
powerful
of
that
the
he got it out.
subjects, I'm surprised that any of it, some of the subjects was just so startling,
Mhm.
especially the Christ information.
Mhm.
Well, just that you create your own reality. Like
Mhm.
that's mind blowing. I mean, I get it now, but for the 60s, like I can't even imagine that.
Well,
I
and
think
so
it's-
many people now, from Eckhart Tolle to Deepak Chopra. I mean, you almost name anybody now who's talking about living in the present moment.
Mhm, mhm,
Talks about their reading of Seth books in the 60s.
mhm.
They
Mhm.
all give credence to that, and they're quoted in the back cover of some of the issues
Yes.
of the
Mhm.
editions of the book that um, Rick Stack published.
Yes.
But I think when Tam Mossman published those books, those first editions, whatever, I'm thinking back to your comment about contracts, Mickey, something in the contract, mutual contract, said the world's going to know about this.
Yes.
And for 20 years, the world knew about it, and it expanded and expanded and expanded, and the right people came in at the right time.
Mhm.
And this got out there to all of us and to so many more.
Mhm.
Then it quieted, and now it's coming back again. And I think it's an
Mhm,
extremely interesting question that you ask as to why now.
mhm.
But when Kyle and Mickey refer to that, it's true. Why now? But the facts that it is now, the fact
And it
that it's
is now.
coming to
But
our
you can see
attention.
that astrologically. I mean, you could actually sit with the astrology of the movement, of the starting with a chart from back when it started. And I think you'd probably find these cycles and how and why. I mean, the world is going through some very profound Saturn cycles right now, Saturn and Pluto and so forth. And in fact, back in, what was it, about 2009, I think, I was doing just, kind of looking forward at what's to come. And as the more and more charts I did, transits and stuff from progressions, I started to see stuff that was so alarming in its impact. And everywhere I looked to see what the world would be about, it was very alarming. The idea that the whole world would be locked down and scared to death of some horrible illness, and the fact
You
that all these
predicted this?
I saw it. I didn't tell anybody because I got so scared by what I was seeing. I thought it was me. I said, there's something wrong now. I can't read well. Something's happened to my ability to read charts.
Well,
And
clearly
I'm
not,
everywhere I look, I'm
because
seeing all this horrible stuff happening and people killing I mean, the idea that a 19-year-old boy will walk up and kill 8 people, and then the establishment says, well, he was having a bad day.
Mhm.
Okay, just the idea of that actually happening, or seeing people storming the Capitol building, and
Oh,
they're all Americans. I mean, the things I saw was where each planetary cycle I looked at, they were all screaming and stabbing each other. I mean,
did you get past that point and see anything?
Yeah.
no, I stopped cold. I
Uh,
threw it down. I said, "Oh, something's wrong with me," and for some reason, I've lost my
But you
ability.
haven't thrown it down now.
No, I picked it back up.
That's what I'm saying. What do
Because
you see now?
I'm seeing that I wasn't crazy. I hadn't lost it. The world has gone nuts. But the power of Saturn and Pluto, I mean, any right thinking astrologer, when you even say those two in the same sentence, you're like, oh God, no, please. Oh, no, no. But it's got to happen at some point in history. Each planet will have a series of aspects that is just unfathomable in the scope of what it can do to the environment you're talking about. So here we are, folks.
Hmm.
This is our now.
Yeah, but are
So
you
how
doing
is our,
anything, you
how
and Kyle?
is it coming?
Yeah.
Are we moving
What's next?
out of that yet? Are
Well, I
we?
haven't finished redoing.
Okay.
I haven't finished going back into it. It's something
Okay.
that I have been reminded that I should re-pursue all of the Seth connection.
Oh,
I should re-pursue all of my astrological connection, re-pursue all the psychic connection. There's a wave within my life where so many things I had abandoned intellectually have all resurfaced. You
mm,
know, the
Yeah.
the crystals around me and all kinds of stuff. I mean, I carried them from one country to the other, but I hadn't been doing all of the little formations where you put them on, on a board in a certain shape and you do a
okay. Yes.
meditation and
Sure.
you know, all of that stuff. I had stopped doing. I kept my materials. I have the crystal bowls, you know, and the
Mhm.
7 metal bowls from Tibet and all
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Beautiful.
But I hadn't been using it. And
I stopped
now,
also.
yeah,
Same
it's
with
all
me.
in here, all around in the
Well,
room, but it was
Those
just
of
sitting
you
there.
who are doing astrology, if I may throw this out, no matter what you've perceived up to this point in time, if you have something to offer about the next 10
Yeah.
years,
Yeah.
you've got a receptive audience from a Facebook Seth page, okay?
Okay, you'll be the first to know when I
Alright.
start
Please,
discovering something.
All right, now before we get too close to 2 o'clock, because I want to hold true to that, I want to do a little plug for our good friends in California. So March 27th and 28th, that's this Saturday and Sunday coming up, right? Yeah, it is.
Mhm.
Okay, so so their website is californiasethconference.com. So March
Okay.
27th and 28th is all online. It is all free. And I'm looking at their website right now. So the dates have been set. They are on March 27th, which is a Saturday. It begins at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Pacific Standard Time. And then I do believe they are going to stay online constantly. I don't think they're going to shut off. So I think in the meantime, they will be playing, maybe replaying them. I'm not exactly sure how they're going to be doing this, but lineup is Helen Stewart, Chiron O'Keefe, Virginia Bennett, Mickey Lowe. Hey, Mickey, you can talk about what you're going to do here in a minute. Laurel Shanley, Miles Blunt. Oh, well, they're the only ones on the front page. I don't know if there's any more or not.
the guy who does the lucid dreaming is going to be there. He's been
Yeah.
doing that, Robert something.
Oh,
He's doing that since I've known about Seth.
Robert Wagner is doing
Yeah.
Seth Dreams and
Yeah.
Lucid Dreams. EJ Jam is doing self-disapproval and a story of flagellation. Richard Gentle is doing Living Seth, Developing Your Own Truth. Beth and Peter Bostwick, Get Radical Clarity. Chiron O'Keefe is doing The Nature of Probable Reality. Laura Shanley, My Magical Life, 44 Years of Seth Applied. Miles Blunt is doing Creation in a World Without Time and Space. Mary Fahey, now on our website, I did part of her introduction for her. So that's beautiful. She's standing in front of the Seth house. The beauty of Zoom, we were able to zoom in. So she's going to be doing Once Upon a Seth book, Life Changes. Virginia Bennett is doing Seth and Psychedelics, a discussion. Thomas Leichhardt is doing Opening Up to a Channeling State. Helen Stewart is Did You Mean It? And Helen has been here with us before. She's a wonderful speaker.
Yeah.
I do believe she spoke at the in-person conferences as well. And then Mickey is doing 50 Years of Seth Creation. What next? So there's your lead in, Mickey. You can plug yourself. But
Well,
again, for anybody, CaliforniaSethConference.com. They have a website. They also have a Facebook page, but I don't have that up right now. So I'm sure
Is Mary Dillman there?
They have a clip from the last conference that has never been shown, and they are going to show it. So Mary will be there, but she's
And maybe a memoriam to Rich.
I don't know. Honestly, they asked Oshar and I to be a part of it, and we were so overwhelmed with work with the Seth House at that time. And then the two of us had surgery. There was no way we could do it. So we had to bow out. So I only know we were only there for maybe the first week or two of planning. We helped out a little bit, and then we did have to step back. So I don't know what they're planning now.
How is Oshara's leg coming?
Oh, she's amazing. She's almost healed. She's in the backyard. Before we started this, we had our first spring bonfire. So we started a fire outside. We sat around, we were talking, setting our intentions for what's coming up. And she's doing great. She has no pain. I mean,
That's
she's
incredible.
she's stiff and she's working on full flexion and extension. So
Mhm.
she's going to physical therapy twice a week and she's working at home, but she has no pain.
Oh, that's
Wonderful.
incredible.
It is.
Because
Well,
I
tell
saw
her,
her.
tell her we're very pleased with that.
Yeah.
I will tell her. And you know what? She peeks in and watches. She told me to make sure I close this door.
Yes, because I saw her last
Yeah.
time.
Did you see her in her
Yes.
robe last
In
week?
her, yeah, in her robe going and slippers going by.
Yeah.
You know,
And I
and I
said,
was
well,
concerned because
I'm-
of I could see the pain. You know?
I'm glad she put her robe on.
Yeah.
All right. So, Mickey, go
Yes.
ahead and plug your little spot. You're going to be
Well,
on at 10 o'clock
10,
Pacific time?
he said 10 or 10:30.
Okay.
And I think they were wiggling the time to make sure of how they were going to do it. But um, mine is just, it's rather casual. I wanted to simply cover what it's like to have discovered it back in the early 70s, like 72 or 3, very first publications, and to have had those periods of intense research followed by life intrusion and how I was using it in life, even though I was no longer, say, in New York studying and this and that. I had moved to other places. So it's all about how I was using it and how I'm continuing to use it now.
Beautiful.
So, and I do have a shameless plug in there for the Seth House.
Aw, thank you. We can use all the plugs we can get.
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
And I had to laugh. Bless as well. I wasn't sure whether to say, do I get permission to say something? And I thought, of course I can say something.
Oh, yeah,
Say
yeah.
whatever you
There's,
want.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
just one of those things that it just didn't work out. I mean, we were so grateful to help Mary Fahey, and
Yes.
I did offer to help whoever needed help. You
Yes,
know,
yes.
I was fine with that. So we just couldn't be doing it every day, which is what started to happen.
Yeah.
And once I injured myself to the point where I knew I had to have surgery, I didn't know what else to do. And we've been, between the two of us in physical therapy and getting her well again and regular life and the business trying to open, doing remote sessions, it just got to be, we shouldn't have said yes to begin with, but we all think that we're, that's why I hurt my leg, right? I think I'm Wonder Woman and I'm not.
Well, that's what I was going through.
That's hard to say that.
I wasn't sure I'd be able to do it, and it indeed became a huge project to try and
Mhm.
finagle a way to do it. But it worked. I got it done.
Good.
And I finally took a deep breath and said, "Thank God I've done it, and it's in the can," as they say.
Oh,
But
beautiful.
it takes a lot of
Yeah.
balancing act.
And they are going to, I mean, this is going to be, I think they're doing live Facebook, YouTube, and it's going to be on their website too. And I do believe they will be up there forever. I don't think they're going to, pull anything away. So I think all of these will be able to be viewed whenever people want to, but the Q&As will be live with the presenters.
Yes, they
that
were saying
can
that.
do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was unsure at first whether to
Mhm.
do Q&A, but I think I can. We'll see
Yeah.
how that works out, because
Very
at
nice.
that time of day, the thing is for me to be able to be available
Yes.
right after it finishes showing so that I can do a live Q&A.
Yeah.
So I have to be very careful about, scheduling stuff here in the house and getting
Mhm.
everything
Yeah.
in such a way that I'm free to do it.
Yeah. And I was really sorry that I had to step back, but I knew I couldn't do them service with the kind of
Yeah.
shape I was in.
Yeah.
And I was learning so much. So Jeffrey Kiefer, he was here every week before all this started. So
He helped me a lot.
I
Yeah.
know how busy he is.
Yeah.
And I was learning so much about production and about videotaping.
He's good.
And I had to step back from it. So I missed out because of my availability. So I'm very sorry about that.
Well, I
But
learned a lot.
I want to make sure that, the Seth House fully supports this.
Yeah.
And we wish them, nothing but the best.
Yeah, I'm so excited to see Helen again. So
Yeah,
that, yeah.
I know she's only joined us once. I miss
Yeah.
her. But now that we made it earlier, she's like, really? It's
Oh,
more
maybe
than
she's
6.
joined us twice. I
Yeah.
think she came back
Twice?
again for
Okay.
a very short. She had, she spent some time and had to leave. But
That
I
was back when we used to do it at 4:00 though.
Yeah. So it was
It's
good to
really
see her.
early in Hawaii.
I love listening to her. Yeah.
Oh yeah, she's wonderful.
Yeah.
Now
I just had a quick question, if I could, for Kyle, because although he gave that short comment, I wanted to know, you said you found this site and joined it, but for the last period of time, what have you been doing with the Seth material yourself?
Well, I have been, it's a long story. It's a long story, and I would like to tell you, but it does have to do with software. So using astrology to look into the past,
Oh.
to basically to look for counterparts,
Wow.
which I have no, I can't make any claims about the, I mean, it's something that has to be gone into more depth with. So,
Yeah.
but the basic idea that has stuck with me all those years is, well, astrology is not quite, it's kind of limited. It's not quite there as far as we don't know what to do with it. So I think I have kept that in my head, and without connecting it directly to the Seth studies at all, I started focusing on that. So,
Have you ever run into one of your counterparts in life?
well, I believe that I have. I believe that I have. And
I want to blurt out, I thought the two of you might be counterparts.
Oh,
Mickey and Kyle.
well, we haven't looked at our charts.
that's interesting.
I haven't looked at our chart, but I would like to. I don't know how long the meditation is.
We'll have to talk, Kyle. Privately. We'll have to do private messaging
Yeah,
and share some background and see. Because I have
think
too. I've
that
run
would be
into
good.
twice. I know of. Yes.
Oh,
Okay.
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, the counterparts is, I'm intrigued by that, Kyle, because that is a part of the Seth material that has always intrigued me. This idea of also going into the past to find a counterpart is intriguing. So the more you tell us when you can, wonderful.
Yeah, I'm intrigued. Oh.
The whole meditation is about 20 minutes, Kyle.
I had a feeling we were all counterparts.
So did I.
Could be.
Really?
Well, one
Could
thing
be. Yeah.
that you can do, just looking at, when you run into people who have the same sun and moon signs that you have. So like me, I have sun and moon in Taurus.
And I have sun and moon in Scorpio.
Wow.
Okay.
So Jane Roberts has sun and moon in Taurus.
Mm-hmm.
And Venus in Aries, which, maybe that explains her eloping and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm. Well,
She was adventurous.
I have an 8-position stellium, all in.
Oh my!
Yeah, running through Scorpio and the tip of Sag. So
okay.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to talk.
Yeah.
My dear opposite.
Absolutely. Well, I think Taurus and Scorpios have a thing that
they do.
Yeah. Thank you for asking.
I was going to blurt that out, but I didn't.
I
did
think that's
now.
very, very interesting to bring up. That's really piqued my interest. It really has.
It's a, yeah, I mean, there's a little, I have my own little mythology about this
Yes,
that
I do
that
too.
I can't tell you right now,
Mm,
um, but it's just, yeah, it's just another story.
I
okay.
think that's wonderful. Oh, very
Now,
intriguing.
now I want to thank the people that are over on Facebook. We have Joe is on, Leonida, Seth Robinson. So it's a quiet group over there. But by the time the next week comes along, about 200 views happens to this video
Hmm.
between that and YouTube. So I do need to get my butt in gear and get YouTube done. But
Interesting.
because I'd like to get the meditation out, and usually it's about 20 minutes or so. We do
Yes.
about 5 minutes of silent meditation. I do a little bit of, little induction, little hypnosis, and then read Seth's exercise, and then we try to apply it in a meditation. So I guess that's where we're at right now. All right, are we ready?
Yes.
I'm gonna mute everybody, so don't worry if something happens at your place. Nobody will hear you. So muting everybody. Bye.
Bye.
All right. And you guys will be able to unmute yourself when we come out of it. So what we're gonna do today is sensing your greater being, and it's from the individual and the nature of mass events, session 818, page 89. And everybody is muted. So let's just start by settling in wherever you are. If you're in a chair, or if you're laying on the floor, or in a bed, whatever it is, just settle in, close your eyes, and we're going to use the 3 to 1 count. We'll inhale deeply, and on the exhale, I want you to use your imagination and see the number clearly and say silently to yourself, 3, 3, 3, getting softer each time, then 2, 2, 2, then 1, 1, 1. So let's go ahead and start. Close your eyes and inhale deeply. And on the exhale, 3, 3, 3. And inhale again. Exhale, 2, 2, 2. And inhale. And exhale, 1, 1, 1. Now I'd like for you to use your imagination and see yourself standing at the top of a staircase with a beautiful, smooth wooden handrail. And each step is covered in a thick, plush, soft carpet. And there are 10 steps leading to the bottom of the staircase. And in a moment, I'm going to count from 10 all the way down to 1. And as I do, I'd like you to start going down the steps. And with each step that you take, you will allow yourself to go deeper and deeper into relaxation. Now, with your hand on the smooth wooden handrail, focus your attention on the steps leading to the bottom of the staircase. 10. Allow yourself to relax as you hold on to the banister. 9. Let yourself go all the way down deep. 8. Deeper and deeper. 7. So very relaxed. 6. 5. Deeper and deeper. 4. So very relaxed and peaceful. 3. Deep down, calm relaxation. 2. Almost at the bottom now. 1. Deep, deep relaxation. All the way down and totally relaxed. Now notice the beautiful, comfortable furniture in the room. Sit or lie down, get comfortable, and just listen to my voice as I read Seth's words on sensing your greater being. Your intents and concerns, your interests, your needs and desires, your characteristics and abilities directly influence our material, for they lead you to it to begin with. You want to make the material workable in your world, a natural and quite understandable desire. The proof is in the pudding, and so forth. Yet, of course, you are also participators in an immense drama in which the main actions occur outside of your world, in those realms from which your world originated, and you are foremost natives of those other realms, as each individual is, as each being is. Those realms are far from lonely, dark, and chaotic. They are also quite different from any concept of nirvana or nothingness. They are composed of ever spiraling states of existence in which different kinds of consciousnesses meet and communicate. They are not impersonal realms, but are involved in the most highly intimate interactions. Those interactions exist about you all the while, and I would like you in your thoughts to aspire towards them, to try to stretch your perceptions enough so that you become at least somewhat aware of their existence. These frameworks, while I speak of them separately, exist one within the other, and each one impinges upon the other. To some extent, you are immersed in all realities in a strange fashion. And in this particular case, your conflict with your notes had to do with a sense of orderliness aroused by the need to assemble facts. But then you carried over so that you wanted to keep your Roman reincarnational world and this one separate and not merge them through association, as you did, so that it was difficult to know this when you did your sketches. Subjectively, you wanted to put the worlds together, to explore the similarities and so forth. But practically, you wanted to divide them for your notes. If you can, try to sense this greater context in which you have your being. Your rewards will be astonishing. The emotional realization is what is important. Of course, not simply an intellectual acceptance of the idea. Rupert wanted material on this book, and that is well and good. The book is important. The book has its meaning in your world, but I do not want you to forget the vaster context in which these sessions originate. This kind of information can at least trigger responses on your part, increasing still further the scope of knowledge that you can receive from me. In your world, knowledge must be translated into specifics, yet we also deal with emotional realities that cannot be so easily deciphered. In this session, the words I speak, but more importantly, in the atmosphere of the session, there are hints of those undecipherable yet powerful realities that will then, in your time, gradually be described in verbal terms that make sense to you. There is more, but it will have to wait simply because it is not presently translatable. According to the impact of this session, your own comprehensions and perceptions will bring other clues, either in the waking or the dream state. Keep your minds open for them, but without any preconceived ideas of how they might appear. Rupert's own development triggers certain psychic activity that then triggers further growth. He has been participating in his library, for example, whether or not he is always aware of it. Now we will take a few minutes to sense your greater being while we are together and safe. Now, while our eyes are closed, and after hearing what Seth said, just sit quietly. Notice those realms of which you are natives of, as each being is. These realms are composed of ever spiraling states of existence in which different kinds of consciousnesses meet and communicate. They are not impersonal realms, but are involved in the most highly intimate interactions. Those interactions exist about you all the while, and I would like you in your thoughts and imagination to aspire toward them, to try and stretch your perception enough so that you become at least somewhat aware of their existence. Now we will pause for a few minutes to get to sense our greater being and the realms in which they communicate. Now that you have experienced Seth's exercise, it is time to come back to Seth Talk, totally refreshed, remembering all you experienced and feeling wonderful in every way. Say to yourself every day, in every way, I am getting better and better. So on the count of 3, you will be fully back and ready to resume Seth Talk. 1, you are beginning to emerge, feeling totally relaxed. 2, your mind is clear and alert. Take a deep breath in and out. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Your eyes are starting to open. And 3, eyes wide open, fully awake and feeling fine. Now, I don't know about the rest of you, but that was the fastest 5 minutes ever. Everybody can unmute yourself. Let's see. Do I have to do anything? Ask to unmute, ask to unmute.
Okay.
There, okay. This certainly is a highlight of Seth Talk for me. I love doing Seth's exercises. And I just said to Oshara today, I said, if I didn't have this group to do this for, I wouldn't be doing them myself. So in helping others, I am helping myself because I read all of these. As a matter of fact, the one from today, her and I opened the book up. She said, I want to hear more. And there was a little yellow Post-it note right on the paragraph. So we've read this. We even read it to each other. And it was, it just, and here it was at the right time, exactly perfect. And it was very significant for me today. I just did this last night. I don't know what happened this week. It just got super busy. So last night I'm like, I got to stay up and finish this so that I can sleep. And my sleep was crazy. And I think I was in this mode of being with my greater self. And I don't want to use that. And Seth was very careful. He didn't say higher self, which, or, which might mean higher and I'm lower, whatever. It's just the greater identity that I am a part of, the whole of me. And to feel the other identities and their energies swirling around. And to me, it was all about color. It was pinks and violets and yellows and greens and all like very neonish colors joining and kind of like swimming in, I don't know what, thick, nice, good feelings. Like it felt very loving to me. And I've been doing this for about 24 hours now, really. So this was, every week I say, oh my God, this was the best one, but they are building one upon the next one upon the next one. And I just love this stuff. I love it. So, and Kyle, for you, these exercises are in the discussion group under, I don't know if it's documents or files, but they're called, it's the PDF that says Seth exercises. So they are available. You can download them, and I am doing them in order. So, and I usually on the YouTube channel or our Facebook page, you can go back and see which ones I usually write in the comments what meditation I'm doing. So so anyway, thank you for allowing me to help you to help me. We're in this together, guys. I love this. And Regina, you said that a couple of weeks ago. You're like, I read all this stuff, but why didn't I do them? And you did give me that one, and it is not in the book. So I'm going to add that somewhere at some time.
Good.
Yes. Yeah.
Thanks.
So I encourage anybody that wants to share. I will zip the lip now.
I have a quick question, because this experience is different from the last two. Am I wrong that in the last two, when you led us into this, that the last thing you did was go down the staircase? Whereas this time, that was the first thing you did, because I didn't quite get into it the way I did before. And
Oh.
I'm not sure.
Last
Why?
week I had you, no, it was still in the same order, but last week there was the waterfall and there was a lot of mucky muck stuff.
I just remember last week feeling like whatever the last image you gave at the bottom of the staircase, I went like 0 to 60 into what happened.
Oh,
And this time there were images, but they were kind of chopped up. And one was a vortex, one was what the equivalent would be in our terms, fairy lights that had wisdom, sort of dancing around. And there was one other thing, but it was not a continuous experience, for me.
okay.
Same for me. I was in and out, like it was wavering in and out, but I saw kind of like an aura and green sparks just shooting out, and then it kind of melted into like a green lava lamp type of thing.
Wow, beautiful.
Green was my color though.
Green. Nice. Nice. Martin, you were in and out physically. You kept
Yeah, I
losing
was
connection.
completely out. As soon as I got down to the bottom of the stairs, I was out. I was out the entire time. Right? Just about 1 second before you brought us back, I came out. I came back. I was out the entire time. And
Wow. So you were bouncing in and out of the Zoom though. Like you disconnected several times.
Really?
Yes. And then came back in. And if you were out, how did you do that? This is very strange.
I don't know. I have no,
Okay.
but I can tell you what I experienced and what I can remember of it.
Yeah.
I was like in this dark space, and there was a really, really bright space in front of me. And there was like people there, a person, and it was like the beach. I was like looking out on a beach, and it was very playful, very fun. And I didn't go out into the beach. I just kept talking to them or conversing with them from the dark space. I was very comfortable. It was kind of like almost being inside of a shed, looking out on a beach. And it was very playful. That's the word I would describe it as. It was a very playful conversation, not so much with words, but I could hear like giggling and laughter and that sort of thing, and like people playing. And
Seth would love hearing that.
That's what I was thinking.
Yes, absolutely. That's wonderful.
Made me happy.
yeah,
Me too. I said it was the fastest 5 minutes I've ever experienced. Like I opened my eyes up and I'm like, yeah.
Wow.
How
So
you
you mean the whole thing was only 5 minutes?
just the quiet time.
Oh, the quiet time.
Just
Yeah.
the quiet
Okay.
time. It was a pretty long reading by him, yeah.
That was fast. I agree.
Say that again. Say it again.
Oh, it was just, I thought it was fast also.
Yeah.
it seemed like a lot happened. I don't have any concept of. It didn't seem like it was time. It just a lot happened while I was there. A lot. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Wow.
And I even saw a beach ball at one point bouncing around.
I love that. Playful.
We're wishing that we were on spring break, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Heck, they closed the beaches down there.
I didn't see any people though. I didn't see any forms or anything. It was just I could hear it and feel.
You could hear.
Yeah.
Well,
Mm.
and remember, a couple of sessions ago, it was perceiving it with our inner hearing, our inner
Mm.
touch, our inner taste, our inner senses. So maybe conversations which we think of, speaking, it's going to be telepathic, or you're going to see the colors like Audrey, very green is so, in my thought process, green is so healing. Like
Yeah.
that is the
I
healing
need that.
color. Yeah.
Well, the colors I saw were in that beach ball.
Beach ball. So
Those
that's
were the
all the
colors that I saw.
primaries. That's
Yeah,
wonderful.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Do you
Well,
have anything to
I
share,
felt
Kyle?
like it. Huh?
Oh, I was just going to ask if you had anything to share.
No. Well, I had this really strong sense of being literally in the same room together,
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
and of just I don't know, it felt a lot. It's just like we're sitting together and everybody's supposed to have their eyes closed, and I don't dare open my eyes because somebody's gonna see me.
Which means theirs were open too.
Yeah.
Yeah, there
That's
you
true.
go.
And it's kind of funny sitting, here I am, and God knows who's out there watching me.
Now, just so you know for the future, you can always click the button stop video.
Yeah, yeah.
It just puts a picture of you up, or a blank head
Right.
or whatever. And so if you do feel, that's fine to do that. And then just start the
Right.
video again
Yeah.
when you want to join. So
I
yeah.
kind of enjoyed the sense of really being, kind of immediate sense of just being physically close together.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. It's nice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Miss Mickey, you looked like you were deep, deep, deep. Because I
I
do
was.
peek at you all, because I do watch.
Well, I was, and it's very slowly dissipating. Like with the last two times,
Mhm.
it was so deep that when you say, "Okay, eyes wide open," even if I open them, then I'm not back yet. I'm not fully back. So this kind of surprised me a little bit. Kind of blew my mind a little bit because I got very deep into it. And at one point, I didn't have any visuals yet. And then when it came, I had a view of a very shiny, weathered gray stone, like a big rounded rock.
Mhm.
And I started to realize that I'm looking down at my feet as I'm walking on it. It's a long path, like of this brown rock, sort of like you're walking around a volcano or something. But if you've ever seen the pictures of the Chinese wall,
Mhm.
there are parts of it where it's up on the very top of a ridge. So there's very little outside of the wall itself. You know what I mean? It's a very peaked, skinny thing that you'd be walking on. Well,
Mhm.
that's what this was, except it was metallic gray, like hematite or something. I think what
Okay.
had happened was that it had become shiny from all the people walking across it over a long time.
Mhm.
But I'm looking down at my feet walking along this thing, and I realized it was a different me. It was, like you say, a greater self. It wasn't really the me that's sitting there doing the meditation. And so I became aware that this other being was allowing me to see it to some extent, just to see that it was walking along this very high place. And I don't know if that had a meaning. It's trying to make the point that I'm up here,
Mm.
wherever it is, up on a peak. And it just kept walking along that peak. I never saw any more than from the mid thigh down. And
Mhm.
it was a very skinny, smaller person. If you could describe it physically, then that would be, the type of thing. And then it changed. There was a little interim period of no image and quiet, and I started to realize then that the newest picture was of an Indian man, I mean, like American Indian man, who was busy putting on his stripes of color on the face in
Oh,
preparation for some kind of ceremony.
Hmm.
huh.
And that was also a higher self or a greater self, as you
Mhm.
put it.
Mhm.
And it was only very slightly greater than the first one. So that was very strange. I was confused because it would have never occurred to me that in looking at a greater self, that it would look so human. I think I had this idea in my head that it's going to be all woo woo and look like some expanded being or alien or
Mhm.
whatever. I mean, your idea of what the higher self is, it's so far up in the dimensions and everything that it had never occurred to me that it would look like another person.
Hmm.
Especially
I
an American Indian person who's getting ready to go prance around in a ceremony. So that's what I was looking at. And it was reassuring me that what I was seeing it was like teaching me a more enlightened way to address my expectation.
Oh.
You see, so I have to adjust what I expect and what I
Mhm.
think is to be, the way things are and who's out there and who's doing what.
Mhm.
You need to adjust what you think it's going to be.
Right. Right. Beautiful. Um, to address one little thing, I mean, and I know this is kind of crazy and I don't really follow the Bible, but it
Hmm.
says that we were made in God's image. So why
Yeah,
wouldn't our greater self look human?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a very good point.
Yeah. Hey, I want to read this before Regina goes. Dylan Dow says, "Hi, I'm so glad I got to catch you all live. I just woke from a dream and Jane was in it. I was so amazed. Thank you, Regina, for posting Jane's story about the red wagon. I read it last night and then I was able to connect with her. I feel so happy right now. I did miss the meditation and looking forward to rewatching it. Thanks, Kate." So I wanted to make sure
Oh,
you,
that's lovely.
heard that. Um,
And
and
that is an extraordinary story. And I have an original edition of that. And
oh,
it's one of my prized possessions
mhm, mhm.
because she did it for the magazine of fantasy and science fiction, which is the height of sci-fi magazines to this very day.
Oh,
And the owner, editor of the magazine, put a little note about this lovely young thing writing this story. I
Oh,
always wondered what Jane might have thought. We're talking way back when, 40 years
mhm,
ago, 50 years ago. But the editorial comments would have a certain attitude towards the female writers. It was charming, but it was also
yeah.
very retro. Yeah.
mhm. Now she was very
Yeah.
accepted by the sci-fi
Yeah.
community.
She was what?
Very
Mm.
accepted by the sci-fi community. She was the first
Yeah.
woman, right, that was really accepted.
She was, along with people like Lee Brackett and the woman who wrote Avalon, the story of Avalon,
Mhm. Okay.
because there weren't many accepted, and hard science was considered more acceptable. Jane's story, of course, was definitely not hard science. It was
Sci-fi.
an amazing multi-layered thing and narrated in such a way that you weren't sure who was talking.
Oh.
So it was very, very unusual. I'm delighted they got to see that. So and thank you all for, again, an absolutely lovely session. So I'll catch up on whatever remains later on.
All right.
So
Thank you for joining us.
thank
We
you.
always
Bye.
welcome your presence.
Bye-bye.
Have a wonderful day.
You too.
I also want to read Jo. She said, since about 10 years ago, I found that alignment with the greater self, when it happens, there is this amazing unearthly energy entering my whole body, always very healing. Afterwards, the vibration remains present for hours to feel, accompanied with the various images and messages. Always delicious experiences. The love is of a whole other level than like the love vibe we know on Earth. Heart. Thank you.
Yeah.
That was beautiful. Thank you. Our Facebook people have been very quiet today. So sometimes they're chattier. Joe is always on. And who we're missing is Miriam. Where is Miriam? You know, she is always on Facebook, so she must be busy today. So I just want to do a shout out to her if she's listening, that we miss you, Miriam. Oh, so we have about about 18 minutes left. And it just floors me how fast 2 hours can go.
Super fast. Yeah.
Yeah. How's everybody feeling?
I feel really alert now. I wasn't beforehand, but beforehand I was really dopey, but now I'm not. So I was very invigorated by that. I usually am. Usually when I come out, it's very invigorating for me. Yeah.
So good energy. Good energy with this group, you know?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're like Mickey said, it's like having tea on Sunday afternoon with friends. Yeah. I love it.
Yep.
I'm usually as a spring and summer, I probably wouldn't make it every Sunday, but because this is kind of prime like bicycling time and stuff like that.
We understand.
You just throw your cell phone in your pocket, get on your bike, and we'll talk while you roll.
Oh my God, you
That's
remember
what I
that
was
guy
thinking
that did
too.
that?
Yeah.
There you go.
We
That'd be
had-
a different experience.
We had a guy on that did do that way back in the beginning. He was, I want to say he was in Hawaii maybe, and he was on his little jog and he had the phone with him and we could see things bouncing around.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah.
But you know, we're here every Sunday. I don't know that we're going to continue every Sunday, but for the foreseeable future, that is the plan. And you know, we've done it later in the day, we've done it earlier in the day. We do bounce around a little bit, but this seems to work pretty well.
Yeah,
because when we were doing it at 4 o'clock, poor Mickey was up till midnight.
Yeah.
That's
Now
okay. I'm a night hawk. It's all right. All
we're
Scorpios
We're only
kiss the dawn.
we're only 4 hours apart right now, right? Because
Yeah,
you guys
exactly.
didn't do daylight savings yet.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
I'm surprised. Everybody needs to really pay attention for the Seth conference because they're saying Pacific Standard Time. So they didn't do daylight savings. Like, I don't quite understand that. Or is it a typo? Because they did it when it was daylight time. Now it's switched. So just be careful, be mindful of the time frame. You don't want to miss your favorite speaker.
I look it up on Google every now and then when it changes, just to make
Well,
sure.
our meeting next week will coincide with that, so we'll be having a meeting here. I don't think we would we?
Oh, you know, now that you mention it, the time that we meet is the time that I'd be on live.
Yes, that's what I mentioned when we first started.
I didn't get it. Yeah, I didn't realize. Yeah.
Well,
what does that mean?
Should we take next week off? Oh my God, what will I do?
Watch Mickey.
You'll be hanging out there.
I think I'll join Nikki. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Maybe
it'll be like
we'll
having
take
a
this
regular
week
group,
off.
but bigger. Yeah.
Oh, I'm bringing family.
So, okay, all right. So we'll put that out there that Seth Talk Live will take a little break next week, and join Mickey on the California Seth Conference.
That
Yeah,
is so
yeah,
sweet
yes,
of
that's
you. I
awesome.
wasn't asking you to do that. I just wanted you to forgive me for being incognito.
Absolutely not. We
Oh,
want to be with you. We want to
that'd be
support
Oh,
awesome.
you.
that's
Um,
fine. That's lovely. Oh
and
God, you
and we
make me
want to
feel so.
support California as well.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
I mean, we are all in this together.
yes,
You know,
we are.
and Jeff and Oshara and Lawrence Davidson were the three people that put together the original Seth conference out there
Oh,
way back when. So
yeah.
Lawrence has since transitioned, so he's not with us anymore. And so Jeffrey is really picking up a lot. You know,
Mhm.
he's a good guy. And I wish him the best of luck. Joe says, best of luck, Mickey, next Sunday. So,
Oh, thank
so
you,
Yeah.
see,
Joe.
we're okay. Now
Mwah.
someone needs to tell Miriam though.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know what, Mickey? Put a post up. Put a post up
Okay, I
when your
will.
time is gonna
Well,
be.
I'm very tentative. I did make a comment on my personal page about, oh wow, taping and taping and taping, and blah blah
Yeah, yeah.
blah. And I mentioned it a couple of times, and someone asked, "Well, what's this for? Will we get to see it?" And blah blah blah. And I very carefully said, "Okay, here we go. I'm going to put out there what it is, because I don't generally talk about Seth on my personal page."
Yes.
And so I said, well, this is a new phase. This will be a very interesting aside in my life of what the reactions are going to be. There's going to be a ripple in the force, because I'm from, I'm a preacher's kid, and I'm from
Yep.
a very huge, expanded, very fundamentalist Christian family. So I'm sure this is going to be interesting when they realize what Seth is about, and to hear their reactions and so forth. This is going to be good.
Yeah.
I think
And
it
I'm coming
sounds
with
fun.
reinforcements.
Yeah.
Now, when you do your Q&A, do you know if it's going to be on Facebook, or is it going to be YouTube, or is it going to be simultaneous cast?
I think it's simultaneous, but we need to
Okay.
ask Jeffrey about that. That's a good point.
Well, when you know, post it to the discussion group, because this
Yeah.
is 100% Seth related.
Yes, it is.
Definitely post it
I'll
to the
mention
group.
it today, this
Okay.
evening,
Okay.
because it's a couple of minutes to 7 here, and
Okay.
I'll mention it to him on Messenger, because that's a very good point. I was thinking about that too, because they'll suddenly switch into live to me here, I suppose, because the talk is on a feed, so we'll see. I'll ask him.
All right, yeah, let us know, and if there's anything I can do to help. But we'll be tuning in to you next week.
That's
exciting.
very
So
funny.
your talk is an hour, and then you're doing Q&A afterwards.
My talk is about 45 minutes,
Okay.
and then with a little 15-minute Q&A afterwards.
Okay. All right.
So that should be very. I'm looking forward to having you with me. This is
That'll be
great.
wonderful.
Oh,
Yeah.
bless you
We wouldn't
each.
miss
Mwah,
it.
Oh, girl.
mwah. Kiss each one of the pictures.
I love it. Love it. Love it.
Back to what who was it? Joe, that said about the feeling of love and everything. I wanted to mention that when the first time that I ever contacted my quote higher self, I mean the real top of the top of the top of the level thing,
Mm-hmm.
and the first thing I remember this feeling that something big was happening, in a meditation. Suddenly I was reached by this being. I became aware of it. And the very first thing I experienced was the most overwhelmingly profound and intense love I had ever, ever,
Mm.
ever felt. And it was so profound, you didn't quite know how to categorize it. I'd never known anything like it.
Mm-hmm.
And it made me instantly aware that I was in the presence of all that is,
Oh,
not just the higher self, but you had this feeling of having an open point, going out past the higher self to whatever else was in the universe. And, whatever the big stuff is, it was there. And the very first words were, They called my given name, which I don't use, and it's not Mickey. And they they called my name and said, "I love you."
Oh.
And then there was a quiet point where that all kind of it came around you like pouring syrup down your head.
Mm.
You know, you could just slowly feel this thing engulfing you from the top down.
Mm.
So
That's
when she talked about the love,
anointing.
it
Yeah.
made me remember that really profound feeling. I've never felt anything like it since,
Mm.
you know? So that was just incredible. But it made you know about some other levels of stuff
Mhm.
out there in the universe. You know, you could not negate what this felt like.
Mhm.
You couldn't categorize it. But it reaffirmed everything inside me that I'd ever needed to have um, reinforced. You know, if
Mm.
you've ever wondered what's out there, if you've ever wondered, well, is there a God or not? Nobody could ever ask me that and expect me to say I don't believe it, because I know I felt something and it was
Mhm.
well beyond anything I knew. And there's more out there, whatever it is, there's more. You
Yeah.
know? And it's
Well,
Very
big.
I've
cool.
felt I've always been protected by my higher self, like with
Yes.
little whispers of "Don't go down there, don't go
Yeah.
over there," and I've always felt that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I think, for those of us that did not know Seth and didn't study this, we called it our guardian angel.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I always felt that. And it's so weird because you know what I called my guardian angel's name was Joseph.
Oh,
Isn't that
really?
interesting?
Yes.
Joseph. Yeah.
Well, Seth made a point on someone's meme the other day. Someone posted about the fact that Seth said he had often spoken to people or contacted people, but I mean, his group, you know, the We Are Seth
We are.
group,
Yep.
spirits, but they weren't called that. They never communicated that name to whomever they were reaching. And whatever help they offered, it was not done within that name. They had other things they went by.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So that blew my mind. That was very interesting. Okay. So there's other, you know, I know there were other speakers out there and stuff and whatever, but that was very interesting that over time, over millennia, sometimes the contact wasn't hi, this is We Are Seth
Right.
or we are the speakers. They just said whatever they had to say in another guise.
Right. Right. Now, in that session 4, I think it's session 4, it said, when they said, what do you want to be called? Because he didn't want to be called Frank Watts. He said, I don't like that name. And well, what do you want to be called? And he said, all names are God's names,
Yes.
but we like to think of ourselves as Seth, that I've always known myself as Seth. But all
Wow.
names are God's names.
Yes.
So, yeah.
That's an interesting part of the
Yeah.
Quran and the Muslim faith, where they write all these beautifully calligraphed names of God. You know, you can see it done in 100 different ways. In a temple, you know, it's everywhere in different ways, and even mathematically and geometrically and so forth. It's all about enhancing the name and therefore the vibration
Yes.
of God, you know. And there are religions where you don't say the word God, because calling it infuses it with certain energies that they felt unworthy of saying or using or whatever, for whatever reason, out of respect or whatever. It's always referred to in a different way by some other.
In ancient Israel, they would have the ineffable name, but every
Yes.
time that they would speak it, it would depend on the occasion, how it was pronounced. It didn't always have the same enunciation. It would be spoken in different ways at different times. Yeah, that's what I've heard. Yeah, so
I'm fascinated by Hebrew, and I have one pet thing that I learned from someone who said that the characters have been formed from different positions of the hand, different priesthoods and so forth. And as they laid that out, I had this really profound feeling from it and went into a deep trance. And it was just an amazing idea to see the flow of the movement and how it translated into a language. And that
Yeah.
language is so profound anyway, because it represents numbers, it represents vibrations, you get into the whole thing with the tree of life and
Mm.
the characters and
letters.
so forth. Yeah.
The letters are mudras. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
fascinating
Yeah.
stuff. The vibrations around it, once you start to study, all kinds of vibrational freedoms appear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now,
Just-
for anybody that wants to study any particular subject, like you mentioned Hebrews, or you mentioned astrology, or you mentioned, higher self, greater self, there's findingseth.com.
Yes.
You can pop in words, you can pop in phrases, and it will tell you every occurrence of it that they have. Now, it is limited because what I've been finding lately is I'm looking for things that are in Jane's works, not
Yes.
Seth's works. So it's only Seth's works that this is in this Finding Seth. So if it's going to be in one of Jane's books, like Oversoul 7 is not included in that.
Oh.
So yes, so I've read things and then I can't find it in Finding Seth, then I have to look in the Jane books to see where I'm trying to find this. So, but it's a good way to put in a word or a phrase, and you see, Seth said it 22 times or 122 times and where it is, and you can sort it by relevance. You can sort it by, I like to go oldest to newest. So I like to see the first time he said it, to the later ones.
That's a good point.
I like to do that. And it does include the early sessions. So that's nice, so really all of his books are in there. So that's a good way to research a particular topic. So when it was mentioned that, when Regina said, Kyle, maybe she wrote about you. So to put in astrology or astrologer and then by date, and then it would have to be after a certain date because when you talk to her, are you referenced in there? So I'm also into the research stuff. But that would be interesting to see if you're there. And if you find you post it for sure.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Now the meditation I did today, I made a meme of it and I put it on our Facebook page. So that's up there. I love today's passage. I just thought it was so beautiful about finding those other realms that we truly are from,
Well, I was shocked because I went into it not expecting to connect. I didn't expect to hear from my greater self.
Oh my God, you always hear from.
It's strange because I never think it's going to be anything. And then you get in there, once you go to level and stuff just starts coming up. It starts happening. So,
and it's the strangest thing for me. Every time I come out of being away, whenever I go under like that, I come back, the first emotion I feel every time is embarrassment.
Oh,
because I feel like I've done something, like I've been rude to you all.
no.
I don't, it's not intentional, it's not a conscious thought. It's like, oh my goodness. I but then I realized that was the process.
Well, yeah.
That was it.
Martin, it's so interesting. You're just going to have to go back and watch this one because you winked in and out, truly did about 4 times.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Like,
and
totally disconnected.
All through my life, I've had people tell me, they'll come into a room and they'll say, you just suddenly are here.
Yeah.
The thing about it's strange that you say that because people have told me that all my life.
Well, we watched it and you can see it too.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I like to blink in and out of a few places, but we won't go there.
Did you have something to say, Kyle?
Oh, just that I'm really glad I showed up.
Oh, us
Yes,
too.
we are too.
We are
To
too.
have you here. Yeah, very much.
And yes, we're getting ready to say goodbye. I want to read one more comment though. Dylan again. He says, hey, Mickey, I totally saw you a few meditations back when we astral traveled to the Seth House.
Oh,
I
yes.
I saw the bottom of a blue glass bottle and I was so surprised I connected to you so easily. When you mentioned it in the after talk, it was the first evidence I ever had that astral travel is real.
Oh, my goodness.
I even played the Ouija board with Audrey. Thank you
Oh,
all
cool.
so much for the experience. Kate and Oshara were so welcoming at the Seth House Astral Realm House warming party. I'm really
Wonderful.
glad such wonderful people are helping to co-create this community. Thank you so much. How beautiful is that? Thanks, Dylan.
Thank you, Dylan. That's wonderful.
And it's this group and this feeling of you know, we have a little bit of that unconditional love feeling here. It's a love fest at the Seth House. Let's face it.
It is. It is.
But it's
unescapable.
yeah, it's people like that, and it just makes me feel so good, and I just love being here. And we're gonna love being with you next week, Nikki.
Yes.
You have our support. 100%.
Thank you.
100%.
I am quite overwhelmed. That is really, really sweet. Thank you. Thank you all.
We'll be
You're
there
welcome.
for
We'll be
you.
there.
Gosh.
All right. Well, thank you to everybody. And, you know, you can view this on Facebook later. You can go back and review it, but I will put it on YouTube. And I think the meditation was about an hour and 10 minutes into it. We were a little bit late, maybe an hour and 5 minutes, but it was just over the
More
hour.
like 10. Yeah. More like 10.
Yeah. We are chatty, aren't we?
That's
good,
good.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See you again.